Let's get straight to the point. Most men have no idea how much power they leave behind when they exit a woman's life. And here's the controversial truth. If you're one of the men who's just moving on without leaving a mark, you're doing it all wrong. Some men stay in a woman's mind long after they are gone, not because they were perfect, not because they were romantic, but because they left a lasting impression she can't shake. And if you're thinking that being nice or always agreeing with her is enough, wake up. That's the fastest way to be forgotten. Why does this happen? It's not about grand gestures or dramatic love stories. Women remember men who challenge them, who make them feel alive, who leave a hint of mystery that she can't quite figure out. A man who is predictable, who bends over backward to please, or who is emotionally weak, rarely lingers in her thoughts. It's uncomfortable, but it's true. Leaving a lasting impression often comes from confidence, presence, and a little unpredictability. Here's another thing that will shock you. Sometimes it's not even about you personally. It's about how she feels when she's around you. Men who stay in a woman's mind are those who made her feel something unforgettable, whether excitement, curiosity, or even a hint of challenge. And yes, that can be controversial to hear, but if you want to be remembered, you need to understand the psychology of memory and emotion, not just the cliches of romance. By the end of this video, you'll see why so many men fade away into forgetfulness and why a rare few stick with her mentally for years. Most importantly, you'll learn how to become that man, the one she can't erase from her mind. 1. Men who challenge, not please. If you want to be remembered, here's the first controversial truth. Women don't think about men who always say yes. They forget the guys who nod, agree, and bend over backward to make them happy. Men who stay on her mind are the ones who challenge her, push her limits, and make her think differently. It's not about being mean or disrespectful. It's about being strong, confident, and unwilling to lose yourself just to please someone else. Why does this work? Because challenge creates tension. Humans naturally remember experiences that evoke strong emotions, and a woman will think about the man who made her feel alive, the one who challenged her beliefs, teased her boundaries, or made her prove herself. Being challenging doesn't mean arguing over everything. It's about standing firm in your values, having your own goals, and showing that your attention is earned, not given for free. Here's the controversial part. Many men confuse kindness with weakness. They think being agreeable makes them likable. In reality, it makes them forgettable. Women crave a partner who adds excitement, not comfort, to their life. The man who always pleases may be safe, but he rarely leaves a mental mark. The man who challenges, he sticks. Example: imagine a woman suggesting a weekend trip to a place you don't enjoy. Instead of agreeing just to make her happy, you confidently suggest an alternative that excites both of you. You don't reject her idea rudely, you present your plan with energy, showing that your preferences matter too. She leaves that conversation thinking, he's different, he knows what he wants, and he's not just going to follow me blindly. That feeling lingers far longer than if you had simply agreed. Challenging a woman is not about winning arguments or being stubborn. It's about being a man with a backbone, someone who carries his own energy and standards. The more you do this, the more memorable you become, because it's rare. Most men disappear because they are too willing to please. If you want to stay in her mind, stop being a yes man and start being the man who makes her think, feel, and question, without crossing the line into disrespect. 2. Confidence beats nice guys. Every time, here's a harsh truth most men refuse to accept. Being nice doesn't make you unforgettable. It doesn't make her stay up at night thinking about you. Confidence does. Women remember the man who believes in himself, takes charge, and doesn't need validation. Nice guys? They get forgotten because they try too hard to impress, rather than showing who they truly are. Confidence isn't about being loud, arrogant, or showing off. It's about being comfortable in your skin, knowing your worth, and not begging for attention. A confident man doesn't panic when she's distracted or doesn't immediately respond. He doesn't lose his cool over small things. This calm, self-assured energy is magnetic, and it's something that sticks in her mind long after you're gone. Controversial but true. Women instinctively sense energy. If a man lacks confidence, she forgets him. If he has it, she can't. Confidence communicates that you are independent, capable, and in control of your life, which is exactly the kind of man she subconsciously wants to remember. Most men lose this game because they focus on pleasing her or following every expectation. Example, you're at a social event and she's laughing with someone else. A nice guy might feel jealous or try to insert himself awkwardly. A confident man, he keeps his cool, enjoys himself, and engages her naturally when the opportunity arises. He doesn't demand attention or compete for it. She notices this behavior subconsciously and thinks, he's secure, he's in control, and I like that about him. That lingering impression stays far longer than being overly eager. Confidence also allows you to take action without fear of rejection. You approach, you speak your mind, you make decisions without worrying if she will like everything about you. That boldness is memorable. Being a nice guy, constantly accommodating, may make her comfortable, but it rarely makes her think of you later. If you want to stay in a woman's mind long after she sees you, develop confidence first. Speak up, own your space, and don't chase validation. Nice men fade away. Confident men linger. Remember this. Being remembered is not about being perfect. It's about being unapologetically sure of yourself every single time through. Mystery creates mental hold. Here's a truth that most men ignore. Predictability is the fastest way to be forgotten. Women rarely remember men who are completely open, transparent, or easy to read. The men who stay on her mind are the ones who leave her guessing, who reveal just enough but keep some things hidden. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity is unforgettable. Being mysterious doesn't mean playing games or being dishonest. It's about holding your life and emotions with purpose, not revealing every detail immediately. Most men give everything away too fast. They overshare, over-explaining, and over-apologizing. In doing this, they remove the tension, the excitement, and the intrigue that make a woman think about them when they're gone. Controversial but true, women are wired to remember what challenges their understanding. If they feel they know everything about you, there's nothing left to think about. But if there's a sense of depth, complexity, or unpredictability, she's constantly reflecting on who you are, what you're thinking, and what you might do next. That mental engagement keeps you alive in her mind long after the interactions end. Being mysterious also communicates confidence and independence. A man who doesn't need to explain every action, who respects his own boundaries, signals that he has his own world. Women are drawn to that energy because it's rare, exciting, and commanding. Most men make themselves too available or too easy, removing any mental space for intrigue. A man who keeps some things to himself becomes a mental puzzle, a puzzle that she unconsciously wants to solve. Here's another controversial point. Overexposure kills attraction. Social media, constant texting, and instant replies may feel nice, but they drain mystery and make you forgettable. Women remember the men who have a life outside of her world, who don't revolve entirely around her. That distance creates longing, not coldness. If you want to stay on her mind, learn the power of selective openness. Share just enough to connect, but hold back enough to keep her thinking. Leave hints instead of full explanations. Show depth instead of predictability. Because mystery isn't manipulation. It's simply understanding the psychology of attraction and using it wisely. 4. Emotions, not words, stick. Here's something most men refuse to face. Women don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. You can talk all day, compliment endlessly, and try to impress, but if you don't create emotion, you're forgettable. And here's the wake-up call. Too many men are so busy being nice or correct that they fail to leave any emotional impact. Wake up. If you want to stay on her mind, you need to create feelings she can't ignore. Most men think they are memorable because they are polite, charming, or attentive. But truthfully, a woman may barely remember the polite gestures. She does, however, remember the moments that made her laugh uncontrollably, feel challenged, or even slightly uneasy in a thrilling way. That's emotional imprinting, the kind that lingers. Words without feeling are just noise. Emotions are the signal. Here's the criticism you need to hear. Men often underestimate the power of their own energy. They think, I'm good looking, I'm successful, I said all the right things. Guess what? None of that matters if you leave no emotional mark. Women subconsciously track the emotional highs and lows you create. If your presence is dull, predictable, or overly safe, you become forgettable. Most men don't realize they're setting themselves up for mental invisibility by not engaging her emotions. Emotions can be simple, a playful tease, a spark of humor, or even a moment of genuine vulnerability. It's about creating memories she associates with you, not just talking about who you are. The more intense, positive, or unique the emotional experience, the more she will think about you after you're gone. Wake up, men. You cannot rely on looks, money, or smooth talk alone. Women are wired to remember how you made them feel, not what you said. If you want to stick in her mind, focus on creating experiences, feelings, and moments that are impossible to ignore. Words are cheap. Emotion is unforgettable. 5. The power of unpredictability. Here's a reality check most men ignore. Predictable men are forgettable men. If she can guess your every move, response, or routine, you become background noise in her life. Women remember men who are unpredictable in the right way, those who keep her on her toes, spark curiosity, and make life feel less ordinary. Unpredictability doesn't mean chaos or drama. It's about breaking patterns, creating excitement, and keeping your life dynamic. Most men make the mistake of being overly consistent to show stability or be reliable. But here's the controversial truth. Stability is easy to forget. Excitement sticks. Women subconsciously remember men who inject novelty into their emotions and experiences. Why does this work? The human brain is wired to remember surprises and deviations from the norm. If a man is completely predictable, she stops paying full attention. She already knows what to expect. But if he does something unexpected, challenges assumptions, or brings fresh energy, she can't help but think about him later. This unpredictability creates mental tension and intrigue, which keeps you alive in her mind. Many men fail because they confuse being safe with being memorable. They avoid taking risks, avoid standing out, and avoid making waves. The problem? Life is not memorable when it's completely safe. Women remember the men who break routines, create small shocks, and spark curiosity that could be a spontaneous plan, a unique conversation, or a confident move that surprises her in a positive way. Controversially, being unpredictable also communicates independence and strength. A man who doesn't follow a script, who lives by his own rules, signals that he has control over his own life. Most men make themselves too available, too predictable, and too easy to read. Unpredictability creates mental space for her to think about you. It's the spark that sticks. If you want to remain in a woman's thoughts long after you're gone, learn to balance consistency with surprise. Show her who you are, but leave room for curiosity. Be stable enough to be trusted, but unpredictable enough to be remembered. Predictable men fade, unpredictable men linger. 6. Why weak men are forgotten. Here's a brutal truth most men avoid. Weak men don't stay in a woman's mind. And I'm not talking about physical strength. You can be strong in the gym and still be completely forgettable. I'm talking about emotional, mental, and personal strength. If you lack backbone, direction, or the ability to stand by your values, she will move on and forget you almost immediately. Too many men are weak without even realizing it. They are indecisive, clingy, and desperate to be liked. They bend over backward to avoid conflict and avoid losing her approval. Guess what? That's forgettable. Women don't admire men who have no standards, no convictions, and no presence. Strength creates mental and emotional imprint. Weakness disappears into the crowd. Here's the wake-up call. Stop being the man who apologizes for existing or adjusts to everyone else's expectations. Strength doesn't mean being aggressive or controlling. It means being confident in your choices, having direction in your life, and refusing to compromise your identity just to be liked. A man with this kind of strength becomes unforgettable because he commands respect and attention without demanding it. Controversial truth. Women are subconsciously drawn to men who are capable and decisive, not those who are convenient or passive. Weak men provide comfort but not challenge, safety but not excitement. And it's challenge and excitement that create lasting memories. Weak men fade because they leave no emotional footprint. Strong men linger because they stir emotion, curiosity, and respect. Being strong also means taking responsibility for your life. If you are constantly reactive, constantly seeking validation, or constantly waiting for her approval, you are mentally invisible. Women remember men who lead, inspire, and challenge them, not those who drift along like a leaf in the wind. Here's the bottom line. If you're weak, she will forget you. If you want to stay in her mind long after she sees you, build your strength. Stand by your values. Take charge of your life. Show emotional resilience. Stop bending, stop apologizing for being you, and start living in a way that leaves a mark. Weakness is forgettable. Strength is unforgettable. 7. Leaving a mark versus leaving guilt. Here's a controversial truth most men don't want to hear. Being remembered doesn't mean making her feel guilty. Too many men think leaving an emotional mess or making her feel regret will keep them in her mind. Wrong. That's not power, it's weakness. Women may remember you for a moment if you create guilt, but that memory fades fast and is associated with negative feelings, not admiration. Men who truly stick in a woman's mind are those who leave a positive, lasting impression. They make her feel alive, appreciated, and challenged without being manipulative or overbearing. If your goal is to linger in her thoughts, focus on impact, not blame. There's a huge difference between being unforgettable and being a burden on her conscience. Most men fail here because they confuse drama with attention. Here's the harsh reality. Men often leave guilt unintentionally. They ghost, ignore, or react poorly to situations, thinking it will make her miss them. In truth, negative energy repels, not attracts. Women may think about you for a short time, but that memory is unpleasant and easily replaced. Leaving a mark, however, is about creating experiences and feelings she associates with excitement, respect, and curiosity. That's how you remain in her mind for the long term. Controversial, but true, a man who leaves a positive mark doesn't need to fight to be remembered. He naturally sticks in her thoughts because he created value and emotional resonance. Strength, confidence, unpredictability, and mystery all combine to leave an imprint that she subconsciously cherishes. Weak men or men who rely on guilt are forgotten because they add friction, not depth. Wake up, men. If you want to linger in her mind, focus on what she feels when she's with you, not how she suffers when you're gone. Be the man who challenges, excites, and inspires without manipulation. Be memorable for the right reasons. Stop thinking that guilt equals influence. It doesn't. Positive impact sticks. Negativity fades. At the end of the day, leaving a mark is about quality, not drama. If you play your role well, she'll remember you years later, not because she feels guilty, but because she felt something unforgettable with you. That's the power every man should aim to understand and master. Conclusion, approximately 300 words. Here's the part most men won't admit. The truth is, most of you are forgettable. You think being nice, agreeable, or always available will make her think about you long after you're gone. It won't. The reality is harsh. If you don't challenge, excite, and leave an emotional mark, you might as well not exist in her memory. That's controversial, I know, but it's true. And the sad part? Most men never wake up to this fact. The men who stay in her mind long after they're gone aren't perfect. They're strong, confident, mysterious, and emotionally impactful. They know how to create tension, excitement, and curiosity. They understand that leaving guilt or playing it safe is not power. Leaving a mark, a positive memory, and a spark that she can't shake, that's power. And here's the most controversial thing of all. You could be the best version of yourself in every way, but if you're weak, predictable, or eager to please, she'll forget you faster than you think. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below with your experiences. Have you ever left a woman thinking about you long after you parted ways? Or have you been forgotten even when you thought you did everything right? I will personally read your stories and reach out to connect. This is more than a video. This is a conversation. I want us to break down these truths together so you can stop being the man who fades and start being the man who lingers. And here's the cliffhanger. In the next video, we'll dive even deeper into the real reason she can't forget some men, even when she doesn't want to, and why this isn't just about attraction, it's about psychology, strategy, and the mistakes most men unknowingly make. You won't want to miss it.